uncertainty of the afterlife has been something that oftentimes draws people to religion. But when faced with the reality of death, people either turn towards it stronger or feel disappointed and turn away from it.
The idea that contrary to an afterlife a person simply ceases to exist is a painful notion to grasp.
Dan Barker explains in his book, Why We Believe in Gods, how religion helped humanity to be comforted and understand things that they could not previously understand. He also stated that we now have science as evidence to back up our understanding of the natural world. The last piece of the puzzle is consciousness, which many people find comfort in through their religious beliefs and practices.
We interviewed a priest at St. Ignatius Catholic Church to see what his experience with death within his congregation had been.
We then interviewed a board member of the atheist community of Austin to get his outlook on death and atheism.
We also interviewed our peers who had experienced loss and listened to their stories about what role religion plays in the grieving process for them. Although not all of the interviewees had a first-hand experience with loss, they all expressed respectful views towards different coping mechanisms.
How do I personally cope with death? I would say, unfortunately, not unfortunately, I know that it's very much a part of our life. It's a part of our existence. There's all these cliches and fun little phrases that none of us is getting out of here alive. We're born to die and all of that, So I've come to accept that. And I think as a priest, it's really helped me to walk with people and just to be with people, so many people who are experiencing the death of a loved one, from the process of learning they're sick through death to the funeral rites to everything. And so that's really helped me personally, not to be afraid and just to accept it as a fact of life.
I've recently taken up cutting my own hair and dyeing my own hair, and I've noticed it's a pattern. It has become one of my coping mechanisms, and it's not harmful. My hair grows back, so I'm okay with it. But I don't think that you can cope wrong.
It's really hard for me to cope with death because no matter what people say or do to make me feel better, I never feel better, and I just want to be by myself, and I don't really like talking about it that much.
Like, how do you deal with death as an atheist? And I don't know that there's a definitive answer to the question. You just kind of do, right? But the concept of seeing someone in the afterlife, that just seems kind of weird, right?
Definitely part of it was relying on my friends and family, and not as much of my family, just because I tried to not make this about me. But it definitely played a part. There was a lot of prayer involved, and not in any denominational type of way, just a personal one-on-one basis, if you will. I relied heavily on my friends and who I believe, God put here in front of me for a reason, and they helped me a lot through this entire process. They carried me through the really difficult times and the difficult conversations that I had to have.
I feel like a lot of people have different ways of coping with death. For me, I turned to other things to kind of express myself and express my feelings, because I didn't really understand death when I first experienced losing someone. But I, used different methods. I went to the gym, I did different things that distracted me and kind of helped me take out the sadness and the anger and all the feelings that I felt when I lost someone. So that's how I coped with it personally.
I think death is a life-changing situation in everybody's life, and everybody deals with it differently. I think I would like to be alone, and instead of talking about it, I would like to alone time to process it and get my life going as it was before. It would take a while, but it's something you have to do because life goes on.
People think they're being helpful when someone dies and they say to their loved one who remains, well, God had a plan, or, just hang in there, it's all going to be okay, or they're with God, so everything's great. Well, what of course, we know is it's not great. They're not happy, and that doesn't help, I don't think, to say God has a plan. Or if someone dies tragically, they're hit by a car, that's actually offensive to me to say, well, God wanted her to die that way. That's not really a loving God. But what I do believe that we offer, that God offers us, is consolation and comfort when bad things happen, when death or a tragedy happens. That's when, I think that the community, the church, friends, family can rally around and say, you're not alone. Yes, this is horrible. You don't try to take away the grief by saying things like, well, it's all God's will, get over it. But instead, just, I'm here. I know this is really painful and hard. We're going to get through this. And yes, too, also, I think then after that, we can say, and our faith tells us that, as it says in the Old Testament, I love this line, it's very, very simple. The souls of the just are in the hand of God. It doesn't say where or what's heaven like and all of that. It just says the souls of the just are in the hand of God. And that's also comforting.
One of my best friends, she lost her father. So I just went to the funeral and I was with her and we were praying and I guess I was helping her. So I was just there for anything she needed.
I mean, if there's one thing I've learned from this whole experience and grieving is that there's no right or wrong way to grieve or to cope. I think a great way of coping is counseling, is therapy. Someone to talk to whose only bias is that you're healthy, that you're stable. Talking to friends, opening up to friends, art, any way to release all of the emotions, the pent-up anxieties or whatever demons that trouble you.
I try to relate back to my experiences, and I try to help other people understand that it does get better, and although you're still going to kind of be hurt and you're always going to have those memories and everything, just kind of switch it to look at it as something positive and something good, and just shine light on it instead of taking death as a bad thing. Just look at it as losing someone but gaining someone at the same time.
Listening to them, being there for them, giving them all their support, help them in whatever they need. If it's like their dad died or like their mom died, to like just give them help and attention, listen to them. I feel like it helps those who believe in it, but I don't really believe in a higher power, so that's what makes it harder to cope with, because I don't believe that there's something like that helps us or that like watches over us, so there's nothing that I can turn to whenever something like that happens.
I really think that it believes on what your religion is, because different religions say different things about death. But personally, me being a Muslim, I think it helps because it teaches us in our religion that there's life after death. So that kind of gives you hope in a way, and it kind of makes you understand that you're not losing that person forever. You're just you are going to see them maybe in after you die or just later, but it's not like you've lost that person.
Funerals are remarkably therapeutic in many ways. So people who haven't seen each other for a while come together for the common grief, if you will. And there's a lot of beauty in that coming together to mourn, whatever the right word is. Mm-hmm. So my advice is, like, keep your eyes open during that process to see what might be helpful, useful, of interest, etc., etc. Just be open to things that happen and come your way.
It made me grow closer to God as I understand Him, because yet again I just couldn't help but to be so thankful. At least I'm here to help support my family through this tough times, and thank you, God, for giving me the ability to come at this situation from in a helping manner. How can I help my dad? How can I help my uncle who just lost his son? How can I help my grandma who just lost her grandchild? And I try not to make it about me. And then in another aspect, it drew me closer to God, knowing that, life, death is inevitable. Like God didn't put death here just for a random reason and everyone dies. It's the fact of the matter. And so it made me closer to God to be thankful for the life that I have today and for the moments that I get to experience on a day-to-day basis.
I guess he plays a great role because I guess he gives a prayer, or praying to him gives a great comfort to the people that just lost someone.
It affected my relationship with religion or God in a strange way, I think. I think most people either cling to religion or they become angry and they avoid religion. I didn't want to do either. I've never been super religious, so I didn't feel that it was fair for me in my time of need to turn towards religion when I never did just in my everyday life. But I also I was very scared of becoming angry with God, so I just kind of avoided it and didn't really look to religion at all.
I think turning to prayer is a really good way to kind of help yourself. I see it as a form of meditation, and I feel like any kind of meditation helps you calm yourself and it helps you understand and gather your thoughts. And once you have your thoughts gathered, you can actually understand and start to move past whatever or whoever you lost. So I feel like it does help.